Good morning, students. Here we are going to study the gross anatomy, the anatomical features of the lumbar vertebrae. Now, in the anatomical features of the lumbar vertebrae, the first to fourth lumbar vertebrae, they are typical lumbar vertebrae. So, typical lumbar vertebrae, they are L1 to L4. And atypical lumbar vertebrae, the atypical lumbar vertebrae will be L5. Here we start with. Now we have to draw two line diagrams. So if we draw, this is the body of lumbar vertebrae. Now here, since this is a typical lumbar vertebrae, it could be L1, L2, L3 or L4. This lumbar vertebrae will have a Rennie-shaped body. So Rennie-shaped body means the side to side diameter will be more than anterior-posterior diameter. That is one. Number two, the vertebral canal here, this vertebral foramen, this vertebral canal or vertebral foramen will be enlarged and triangular. So this is vertebral canal or oblique foramen. It is enlarged and triangular. Then we come to the transverse process. Remember, these are the features of typical lumbar vertebrae, L1, L2, L3, L4. Now the transverse process of this lumbar vertebrae will be, these transverse processes are enlarged, they are attached to the junction of pedicle and lamina, and these transverse processes will be in such a way that, for example, here we draw one transverse process and this is where we end at the root of transverse process. Similarly, over here we draw the other transverse process and we show that this is how it will be present at the root. Now, from here we shall show the superior articular facets. So, in order to show the superior articular facets, we show in this way. Here also we show the superior articular facets in this way. And the superior articular facets are directed posterior-medially. So the direction of superior articular facets will always be posterior-medially. This is the direction of superior articular facets, posterior-medially. And here I am giving it as yellow color. So they are directed posterior-medially, the superior articular facets. Here also. Then we are going to join and show the spinous process. So we draw the spinous process. This will be the spinous process as it is going, and here this is the entire spinous process. So therefore, now the spinous process will be, it will be quadrangular and horizontally directed. Quadrangular and horizontally directed spinous process in case of typical lumbar vertebrae. Now we come back again to the transverse process which we have drawn. Transverse process, as we can see, it is enlarged and it will be directed laterally and it will be attached to the junction of the pedicle and lamina. And this transverse process at the root, here we had stopped at the root. At the root it will have posterior inferior portion, in its posterior inferior margin at the root, it will have a tubercle like projection, and that tubercle like projection, now here if I am going to show in this way, this tubercle like projection at the root, posterior inferior in the root of transverse process is called accessory tubercle or accessory process. So it is known as the accessory tubercle oblique process. Some books they mention it as accessory tubercle, some books they mention it as accessory process. That is at the root of transverse process in the posterior inferior margin. Similarly, over here where my finger is there, posterior margin of superior articular facets of all the lumbar vertebrae, the posterior margin of superior articular facets, where I am going to put this pink color, will have the projection which will be known as mammillary process. So this projection will be known as the mammillary process over here, or it is called mammillary tubercle. So over here it is mammillary process oblique tubercle. Some books they mention it as mammillary process, some books they mention it as mammillary tubercle. So posterior margin of superior articular facets of all the lumbar vertebrae will have this mammillary process. And what is the direction of superior articular facets? They are facing posterior-medially. They are directed posterior-medially, the superior articular facets. And what about inferior articular facets, which we have not drawn in this diagram of lumbar vertebrae? They are facing forwards and laterally. Inferior articular facets will face forwards and laterally. So these are the features of a typical lumbar vertebrae. All the features that we have discussed about the typical lumbar vertebrae. Now we shall draw atypical lumbar vertebrae, that is L5. In case of atypical lumbar vertebrae, that is L5, now supposing, please come on this side, here we will utilize this space. If we draw over here, then we show the vertebral body. First of all, we show the vertebral body. This will be the vertebral body. Again, it is reniform in shape. This is atypical, that is lumbar 5. Then we show the enlarged vertebral canal or vertebral foramen. Now the difference will be the transverse process will be directed and it will be attached at the side of the vertebral body on either side. So this is where the transverse process is directed laterally and it will be attached to the side of the vertebral body. This is how the transverse process will be attached. Remember, it is attached to the side of vertebral body. So this transverse process, we can see that it is attached to the side of the vertebral body. Irrespective of the transverse process of the typical lumbar vertebrae, where it is attached to the junction of pedicle and lamina. Here also the transverse process, one side it is attached where my hand is there at the junction of pedicle and lamina, but it will encroach the transverse process after its attachment at the junction of pedicle and lamina. It will encroach on the sides of the bodies of L5. So the transverse process will encroach on the side of the body of L5. This is the major feature. The body is reniform in shape. Also the vertebral canal will be enlarged triangular and then over here we show the superior articular process. This superior articular process will be directed posterior medially as of in typical lumbar vertebrae, and then we are going to show the spinous process. So this spinous process now, the spinous process will be different from the spinous process of typical lumbar vertebrae. In typical lumbar vertebrae, the spinous process was quadrangular and horizontally directed. Here, this spinous process will have a blunt and rounded tip. The spinous process of L5 will be blunt and it will have a rounded tip. So this is how the lumbar atypical vertebrae, the shape will be present in this way. And remaining features will be the same as of all the remaining features. This is how we have drawn the atypical lumbar vertebrae. Now we are going to discuss the various important clinical features of L5, and they are, for example, the difference between L5 and the typical lumbar vertebrae, that is L1 to L4. The first difference that we discussed was with respect to the transverse process. Transverse process of L5 is encroaching on the side of the body of L5, whereas the transverse process of the typical lumbar vertebrae is not encroaching on the side of their bodies. Second clinical difference between L5 and the remaining. For example, I will utilize this space, this much space I am going to utilize. So in this space, a very, very short diagram, posterior view, from the posterior side if we view, this is the superior articular facets of the L5, and these are the inferior articular facets of the L5 and the spine. Spine, the superior articular facets and the inferior articular facets of L5. What we see will be, from posterior side if we view the spine, lumbar spine from posterior side, we see that the distance between the two superior articular facets of right and left side, this distance will be equal to the distance between the two inferior articular facets of right and left side in case of L5. In case of L5, the distance between the two superior articular facets will be equal to the distance between the two inferior articular facets in case of L5. Now we come to, if I just rub this, we come to the typical lumbar vertebrae. What will be the typical lumbar vertebrae? The typical lumbar vertebrae, for them, these are the two superior articular facets and these are the two inferior articular facets with the spine. And here, if we show, this is either L4 or L3 or any other typical lumbar vertebrae. The distance between the superior articular facets will be more than the distance between the two inferior articular facets in case of typical lumbar vertebrae. So once again, distance between the two superior articular facets will be more than the distance between the two inferior articular facets in case of typical lumbar vertebrae. This is the second difference between atypical and typical lumbar vertebrae. Now we come to the sacrovertebral angle. In case of L5, once again we are going to discuss the L5. In case of L5, the body of L5, anterior surface of the body of L5 will have extensive margin, and because of that, because of lumbar lordosis, because of the lumbar curvature, secondary curvature, that is the lumbar curvature, angle between L5 and base of sacrum. For example, if I show over here, if this is the lumbar vertebrae L5, over here, this will be the cross section of sacral vertebrae. Then the angle which is produced between L5 and the base of the sacrum will be known as sacrovertebral angle. And that sacrovertebral angle between the L5 and the base of the sacrum will be 120 degrees, 120 degrees. That is another clinical feature, sacrovertebral angle. Then we come to, for example, transverse process of L5. Remember, we are discussing all the clinical aspects. Now, transverse process of L5. Short diagram, if we just see this is L5 and this is the transverse process of L5. Over here, this will be the sacrum. This is the ala of sacrum. These are the ala of the sacrum over here. And from here, there will be starting of iliac crest. So here also, if I show, there will be the starting of iliac crest. So this is the sacroiliac junction. Ala of sacrum, this is the base of the sacrum, sacroiliac crest. That is the junction between the iliac bone and ala of the sacrum. So sacroiliac junction, transverse process of L5. Now here there will be attachment of two important ligaments. These two ligaments are, for example, the two ligaments that are attached are lumbosacral, here between lumbar vertebrae and ala of sacrum, lumbosacral ligament, and another ligament which will be attached to the tip of the transverse process of L5 and posterior surface of iliac crest. That ligament will be known as iliolumbar ligament. So therefore, this ligament will be known as iliolumbar ligament and this ligament will be known as lumbosacral ligament. These two ligaments, very clearly we are able to understand very simple clinical points of the L5 vertebrae. These two ligaments are important since they will prevent the tendency of forward and downward slipping of L5 in the pelvis. There is a natural tendency for the forward and downwards slipping of L5 vertebrae into the pelvis. That is prevented by several reasons, by several factors. And one of the factors which will prevent the natural tendency of L5 to dip inside or fall inside within the pelvic cavity, one of the factors is the presence of iliolumbar and lumbosacral ligament. Iliolumbar and lumbosacral ligaments. Second factor which will prevent the forward slippage or forward slipping of the L5 in the pelvis will be intervertebral disc strong intervertebral disc present between L5 and base of sacrum, that is S1. And third difference will be the articular processes of L5 articulating with the articular process of sacrum, that is the S1. So the articular processes which articulate with each other between L5 and S1, that will also serve as a third factor which will prevent the forward slipping of L5 into the vertebral canal. And now we come to a very important applied anatomical terminology. Sacralization of lumbar vertebrae. You are asked many times in Viva or 1 mark question answer, or it may be asked in MCQ also. What is sacralization of lumbar vertebrae? Write in one sentence, 1 mark. Sometimes the tips of the transverse process of L5 will be bifid. Sometimes these tips, they become, for example, if I show over here, they become bifid and they are elongated. If these tips are elongated and bifid, they will fuse with the iliac crest or ala of the sacrum. And majority of the cases, they will fuse with the ala of the sacrum. And when they fuse with the ala of the sacrum in this manner, it may be unilateral or bilateral. If it is unilateral, it is known as partial sacralization. This is very important. So it is called partial sacralization. 1 mark question answer. What is partial sacralization? Unilateral fusion of the transverse process of L5 with that of the ala of the sacral, ala of the sacrum is known as partial sacralization. And what is known as complete sacralization? Bilateral fusion of transverse process of L5 with the ala of sacrum on both the sides. Bilateral fusion of the transverse process of L5 with the ala of the sacrum on both the sides is called complete sacralization of lumbar vertebra. Please note down. This is a very important clinical 1 mark question answer. So this is known as sacralization of the lumbar vertebra or sacralization of the lumbar vertebrae. Very simple. Here we have understood this. Now finally we come to the attachments. What are the structures that are attached to the lumbar vertebrae? That is a cross-sectional view. And this cross-sectional view will be helpful for the clinical knowledge also. So therefore, please come on this side. Here we will take the help of this diagram. This diagram we will show the attachments. Now here, the structures I will start drawing. How this picture will be visible. What are the structures attached to lumbar vertebrae? As I repeat once again, cross-sectional views, and they are very helpful in study of CT scan, MRI, etc. also. Attachment on lumbar vertebrae. On the anterior and posterior parts of the lumbar vertebrae, upper and lower borders. So upper and lower border of the lumbar vertebrae, on its anterior and posterior margin, there will be attachment of 2 ligaments. And these 2 ligaments will be, if I start here, this will be the anterior longitudinal ligament, and over here there will be attachment of posterior longitudinal ligament. Similarly, on either side of anterior longitudinal ligaments, remember these are the attachments of entire lumbar vertebrae, L1 to L5. On either side of this lumbar vertebrae, there will be attachment of right and left crus of diaphragm. So right crus and left crus of diaphragm. But this too, right and left crus of diaphragm on either side of the lumbar vertebrae, anterolateral wall of the lumbar vertebrae, they will be limited to L1 to L3 for right crus, and for the left crus, L1 to L2. Please note down. So right crus, supposing if you take this right crus, it will be limited to L1 to L3 attachment on anterolateral side of the bodies of L1 to L3. If you take this as the left crus of diaphragm, it will be attached to the anterolateral sides of the lumbar vertebrae L1 to L2 only. Then we move on the sides. On the sides, there will be attachment of, on the side of the lumbar vertebral body, there will be attachment of the psoas major muscle. So here there will be attachment of the psoas major muscle. This is the psoas major. Remember, it is a cross-sectional view. This will serve as the attachment of psoas major muscle. Also covering the psoas major muscle, there will be attachment of psoas fascia. So this will be psoas fascia and this will be the psoas muscle. So therefore here we should mention this as psoas fascia and this will be the psoas major muscle. Now remember, the psoas major muscle, as it is attached to the side of vertebral body, it will be also extended on the anterior surface of the transverse process. Now on the anterior surface of transverse process, a little modification over here. On the anterior surface of transverse process at this level, there will be a slight vertical ridge or vertical crest on the anterior surface of transverse process. Over here also, if I show, there will be a slight vertical ridge or a crest on the anterior surface of transverse process of lumbar vertebrae, vertical crest. On this vertical crest, there will be attachment of this psoas fascia. So the vertical crest present on the anterior surface of transverse process will divide the transverse process, anterior surface of transverse process, into two parts, medial and lateral. And attached on this vertical ridge or crest is psoas fascia. Medially, on the anterior surface of transverse process, there will be attachment of psoas major muscle, and laterally, on the anterior surface of this side, transverse process, there will be attachment of quadratus lumborum muscle. So there will be here attachment of quadratus lumborum muscle. Quadratus lumborum muscle will be attached here on the lateral part of the anterior wall of the transverse process. Tip of the transverse process. There will be attachment of middle layer of lumbar fascia. There will be attachment of middle layer of lumbar fascia. Now, if we consider, I just create some space over here. Now, the middle layer of lumbar fascia will be attached in this way. This is how the middle layer of lumbar fascia is attached. Similarly, now what will happen will be, now supposing if I just direct it like this, the middle layer of lumbar fascia. Once again coming back to the vertical crest, as I told you, the psoas fascia is there. The continuation of this psoas fascia on the vertical crest here. Now, this will be represented as anterior layer of lumbar fascia. So therefore, here we show this as the anterior layer of lumbar fascia. So the anterior layer of lumbar fascia, we can straight away claim that the anterior layer of lumbar fascia is attached on this vertical crest which is present on the anterior surface of the transverse process, and now the psoas fascia will merge with the anterior layer of lumbar fascia, or the psoas fascia will join with the anterior layer of lumbar fascia, and then the anterior layer of lumbar fascia will be attached to the vertical crest present on the anterior surface of the transverse process, and then this anterior layer of lumbar fascia will cover quadratus lumborum muscle. So therefore here we shall name this as quadratus lumborum muscle, and this portion we shall name it as anterior layer of lumbar fascia, and then lateral it is fusing with the middle layer of lumbar fascia. So here we shall name this as middle layer of lumbar fascia. Where is the middle layer of lumbar fascia attached? On the tip of the transverse process of lumbar vertebrae. MCQ, 1 mark question answer. Where is the anterior layer of lumbar fascia attached? On the vertical crest present on the anterior surface of transverse process of the lumbar vertebrae. Another MCQ or 1 mark question answer. And third, coming to the spinous process. Now the spinous process will provide attachment to, number 1, posterior layer of lumbar fascia. So first of all, let us draw from here in this direction the posterior layer of lumbar fascia. This entire will be the posterior layer of lumbar fascia, and therefore we are going to name this as posterior layer of lumbar fascia attached on the spine of the spinous process of the lumbar vertebrae, and then it will merge with the middle layer of the lumbar vertebrae, middle layer of lumbar fascia. Then what are the other structures attached on the spine as well as the posterior surface of transverse process? Number 1, multifidus muscle. So the entire multifidus muscle, we show that this multifidus muscle will be attached in this way. These are the pattern how the multifidus muscle will be attached. This is how the multifidus will be attached on the posterior surface of the transverse process as well as on the spinous process. And remember, this is multifidus, it will also be attached to this mammillary tubercle. So therefore, this muscle over here, we shall name it as multifidus. This is very important. And covering the multifidus will be erector spiny muscle. So therefore, now here on the spine as well as covering the multifidus, this muscle will be known as erector spiny. Remember, erector spiny will be attached to the spinous process of the lumbar vertebrae, and it is present superficial to the multifidus muscle. That muscle will be known as erector spiny, and covering the multifidus and erector spiny, both of them posterior layer of lumbar fascia. So posterior layer of lumbar fascia is attached on the spine, middle layer of lumbar fascia is attached on the tip of the transverse process, and anterior layer of lumbar fascia is attached on the vertical crest present on the anterior margin of the transverse process. And the remaining musculature, psoas major muscle including psoas fascia, quadratus lumborum muscle, multifidus and erector spiny. This is how the cross-sectional view of the attachment of the lumbar vertebrae will be present. Now we come to what are the attachments on mammillary tubercle and accessory tubercle, or mammillary process and accessory process. So on mammillary tubercle or mammillary process, there will be attachment of two muscles. One, multifidus, and two, medial intertransverse muscle. Medial intertransverse muscle. And on the accessory tubercle or accessory process, there will be attachment of medial intertransverse muscle. Medial intertransverse muscle. And then we come to vertebral canal. Now this vertebral canal here, in case of that space, the vertebral canal, the space of vertebral canal of L1, it will contain, remember, it will contain conus medullaris, the conus medullaris portion of spinal cord, caudalmost end of the spinal cord. It will be present in the vertebral canal of L1. And in the remaining four spaces of the vertebral canal, that is L2, L3, L4, L5. So in the lower four lumbar vertebrae, in their vertebral canal space, there will be presence of cauda equina. Cauda equina are present within the vertebral canal space of lower four lumbar vertebrae. So with this, we have finished the entire gross anatomy and attachments of the lumbar vertebrae. Thank you very much.